After Dragon Ball Super ends, the anime's next series should shift focus to Yamcha. Seriously, Dragon Ball has one high-quality manga, which has yet to be adapted as an anime, but it's probably one fans have never considered before. However, the time just might be right to make That Time I Reincarnated as Yamcha as an anime. That Time I Got Reincarnated as Yamcha is a comedic manga about a boy who's a Dragon Ball Super fan getting brought into the Dragon Ball world, isekai style. However, the fan in question is put in the body of Yamcha, and that's a problem, because Yamcha has a lot of pain ahead of him in the future, including his death. Thus, the reincarnated Yamcha sets about training hard and uncovering every power-up in the world of Dragon Ball to help him keep up as much as he can, and avoid getting killed when Yamcha normally dies. As a result of the reincarnated boy's interference, That Time I Got Reincarnated as Yamcha works as an alternate telling of Dragon Ball, since events go very differently with a dedicated, knowledgeable figure in Yamcha's role. Yamcha even does things like travel to Namek to have his latent potential unlocked by Guru, making Yamcha a far, far more powerful figure than he is typically portrayed as in the main series. In that sense, the manga is similar to many modern isekai, as the reincarnated individual has special knowledge that allows him to become ultra-powerful. With the popularity of isekai as a genre, a Dragon Ball-themed isekai story could certainly do well, drawing from not only Dragon Ball's massive fan base, but also those who love reincarnation stories. The Dragon Ball framework provides a familiar setting and characters, but allows for a wildly different story to be told using those same tools. It also helps put the viewer in the place of Yamcha. Fans are just as familiar with the world as the reincarnated protagonist is, making him and his decisions very relatable. That Time I Got Reincarnated as Yamcha also subverts the expectations of the isekai genre somewhat. One might expect to be reincarnated as Goku or Gohan, with their massive power, but the protagonist is instead in the role of Yamcha, who's relatively unimportant to the overall story. Yamcha really has to struggle to remain relevant, so while he ends up powerful, it's not just given to him the way many isekai do. And ultimately, the truth is that regardless of power-ups, Yamcha just can't keep up with Goku forever, even in an isekai world. That Time I Got Reincarnated as Yamcha is only one volume with a handful of chapters, so it's a bit short to adapt into a full anime season. However, the manga is quite compact, skipping over wide swaths of time, and only hitting major events to give readers some context as to where they are in Dragon Ball's story. It wouldn't be hard to expand the story to cover more iconic moments in Dragon Ball history, and see how they play out differently with this reincarnated version of Yamcha involved. Alternate versions of major scenes would be a huge draw for fans. The reincarnated Yamcha is also very different in terms of personality. He doesn't mess up his relationship with Bulma, for example, which has long-lasting consequences for the story. He's more serious and dedicated to training, understanding the stakes of Dragon Ball's world all too well. After all, just because the Dragon Balls can bring one back from death doesn't mean they should be okay with dying. The manga also has its own villain, and it could be interesting to see some things from his perspective as well. Ultimately, this story has a lot of room for expansion. That Time I Got Reincarnated as Yamcha is a funny isekai tale that plays with a world that every anime fan is familiar with. With the popularity of isekai as a genre right now, it makes perfect sense to consider adapting the manga into a short series just for fun. The manga is right for added material as well, allowing it to offer alternate takes on classic moments, and perhaps even surprise longtime series fans. The audience will definitely come away from the story with a new appreciation of Yamcha, of Dragon Ball, and possibly even isekai as a whole.